Good day, everyone. I am Jelly Baltasar Rodriguez, and my report is the continuation of the report of Ms. Rasunado. So, contrary jurisprudence, I have here a case example, no, so that we can easily understand. Okay, so International Pharmaceuticals Inc. versus the NLRC. Okay, the facts here are the company claimed closure due to alleged financial losses, but failed to provide convincing evidence. So we have rulings. So the Supreme Court ruled that the closure was not justified, emphasizing that an employer must uh, provide substantial proof of financial losses to justify closure. So the outcome, the closure was deemed invalid and the company was ordered to reinstate the affected employees with back wages. Okay, 5.5b. So the final word ruling in North Davao and Rias corporations. In this case, North Davao Mining Corporation was not exempted from paying separation pay because it failed to adequately prove that the losses were so significant that they justified cessation of operation without providing separation benefits. No? While on Rias Corporation, the court highlighted that the burden of proof lies with the employers to show that the closure is due to legitimate business losses and that these losses are not just temporary or speculative but substantial enough to justify non-payment of separation pay. 5.5c, does previous generosity obligate the company? So we have here, okay, I'm going to read. So the principle of previous generosity generally refers to past acts of benevolence by the employer, such as granting benefits or bonuses not required by law. So this generosity does not necessarily created binding legal obligations unless it has been institutionalized through company policy or contracts. Okay, so I have here a case example, no? Facts, okay. PAL had a history of providing retirement benefits higher than what was legally mandated. When the company faced financial difficulties, it decided to reduce these benefits. Okay, so ruling. The Supreme Court held that while PAL's previous acts of generosity were commendable, they did not create a binding obligation to continue providing benefits beyond what was legally required. So, especially in light of the company's financial situation. So, the outcome, the reduction in benefits was deemed lawful. Okay, so um sa binigay na higher benefits, no, than mandated, no, the Philippine airline does not obligate, no, para ibigay pa yung mas mataas, no, lalo na kung nagkakaroon na sila ng financial losses. Okay. 5.5d, closure to prevent losses. Okay. um, Under the Labor Code of the Philippines, particularly Article 298 or the formerly Article 283, an employer may close or cease business operations to prevent substantial losses. So, this closure must be done in good faith and follow proper procedures, including notifying employees and the Department of Labor and Employment or the DOLE at least 1 month before the intended closure. So, I have here, no, the a case, no, for us to easily understand. We have here the Serrano versus NLRC. So The company closed its operation citing financial losses. The employees challenged the closure, claiming it was a pretext to dismiss them. Okay, so the ruling, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the company, finding that the closure was done in good faith and supported by evidence of financial difficulties. The company also complied with the notice requirement and provided separation pay. So the outcome, the closure was upheld lawful. So wala silang nilabag. No? Procedural requirements. So we have here two. First is the notice requirement. Employers must provide written notice to the employees and DOLE at least 1 month before the intended closure. And then the next one is the separation pay. Affected employees are entitled to separation pay equivalent to 1 month's pay or at least one half month's pay for every year of service, whichever is higher. 5.6 justification for closure not credible. So and the unfair labor practice. So I have here a case example. No? So the Insular Life Assurance Ltd. Employees Association or the NATO versus the Insular Life Assurance Co. Ltd. Okay. So, facts, insurance life, Insular Life claimed financial losses as the reason for the closure of its printing department. Okay. Ruling. The Supreme Court found the closure not credible, noting that the company failed to present sufficient evidence to substantiate its claim of financial losses. Outcome. The closure was deemed invalid and the company was ordered to reinstate the affected employees and pay back wages. Unfair labor practices or ULPs typically involve action by employers that violate workers' right or labor laws. Okay. So I have here case example Atlas Fertilizer Corporation versus the National Labor Relations Commission or the NLRC. Okay, the company terminated employees allegedly due to redundancy, but it was found that the real reason was to bust the union. Okay, ruling. The Supreme Court ruled that the termination was a case of unfair labor practice. Okay, outcome. The employees were ordered reinstated with full back wages and benefits. 5.7 Closure by operations of the Agrarian Reform Law. Okay, I have here a case example, the Hacienda Luisita Inc. versus the Presidential Agrarian Reform Council or the PARC. Uh, the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or the CARP covered Hacienda Luisita, leading to the distribution of its agricultural land to farm workers. Okay, ruling, the Supreme Court upheld the decision of PARC to revoke the stock distribution option and proceed with the land distribution. So the outcome, farm workers were entitled to the land and just compensation was provided to Hacienda Luisita Inc. Employees affected by the distribution were giving separation benefits. 5.7a Expiration of lease. Okay. Ma- uh, we have here the case example again sa Manila Hotel Corporation versus the National Labor Relations Commission or the NLRC. Okay. The hotel claimed closure due to the expiration of its lease agreement with the Government Service Insurance System or the GSIS. Okay. So, ruling, the Supreme Court scrutinized the lease agreement in the hotel's attempt to renew it. The closure was found credible because The hotel had exhausted all means to renew the lease but was unsuccessful. So, the outcome, the closure was deemed valid and the affected employees were entitled to separation pay as mandated by law. 6. Sale in good faith. When a business is sold in good faith, it means that the transaction is genuine, free from any fraudulent intentions, and conducted in accordance with legal requirements. In the context of labor law, a sale in good faith can impact the rights of employees in the obligation of the new owner. So, I have here a case example, Cebu Royal Plant versus Deputy Minister of Labor. So, Cebu Royal Plant was sold to a new owner who refused to recognize the union and the existing collective bargaining agreement or the CBA. Okay. Ruling. The Supreme Court ruled that the sale was in good faith and the new owner was bound by the existing CBA and union. So, outcome, the new owner had to recognize the union and honor the CBA, ensuring continuity of employee rights. Sale of business, is it closure or cessation of business? So the sale of business can lead to closure or of recession of operations, impacting employees. The treatment of employees in such scenarios depend on the nature of the sale and compliance with the labor law. So I have here the case example again, BF Corporation versus the NLRC. Okay. BF Corporation sold its business, resulting in the closure of its operations. Employees were terminated without proper notice and separation pay. So, ruling, the Supreme Court found the closure to be in bad faith due to non-compliance with procedural requirements. So the outcome, BF Corporation was ordered to pay separation benefits to affected employees. 6.1a, the Manlimos reversed. Sale of assets versus the sale of stocks. Okay. So original ruling, Manlimo sold its assets to a new company, which did not absorb the employees. So we have ruled, the Supreme Court initially ruled that the employees were entitled to separation pay as the sale effectively resulted in the termination of their employment. So in reversal, we have upon further review, the Supreme Court reversed its decision, recognizing the sale of assets did not necessarily equate to termination if the new owner continued the business with the same employees. So the outcome, uh, the employees were not entitled to separation pay since their employment continued with the new owner. 6.1b, simulated sale. Okay. A simulated sale is a sham transaction meant to disguise the true nature of the sale. It often aims to evade legal obligations such as labor laws or taxes. I have here a case example, the Asia World Recruitment Inc. versus the NLRC. Okay. Asia World Recruitment executed a simulated sale of its business to avoid paying employee benefits. The Supreme Court found this sale to be a sham intended to circumvent labor laws and evade obligations to employees. So the outcome, the company was ordered to comply with labor laws, including paying separation benefits to employees. Illegal termination. So, illegal termination occurs when an employer dismisses an employee without just cause or the process as defined under the Labor Code of the Philippines. So, I have here a case example, Hinieno Dahinyuno versus NLRC. So, an employee was terminated without just cause and without being given an opportunity to be heard. Okay, the ruling, the Supreme Court ruled the termination illegal due to lack of just cause and due process. So, the outcome, the employer was ordered to reinstate the employee and pay back wages and damages. Change of name. So, a change of business name does not affect the rights and obligations of the employer towards its employees. The business entity remains the same despite the change in name. So, I have here a case example, Del Rosario and Sons versus the NLRC. Okay, the company changed its name but continued the same business operation. Okay, we have here the ruling. The Supreme Court held that the change of name did not alter the employer's obligation to its employee. So, wait. Okay, ruling. The Supreme Court held that the change of name did not alter the employer's obligation to its employees. So the outcome, the employees retained their rights and the company was required to honor all existing labor obligations. 6.3 Successor in interest. So, when a business is sold or transferred to a new owner, the new owner or the successor in interest assumes the obligation of the former owner, including those towards employees. So, I have here a case example as Asisite Corporation versus the NLRC. Asisite Corporation was sold and the new owner refused to recognize existing employment contracts. So, the Supreme Court held that the new owner, as successor in interest, was bound by existing employment contracts and obligation. So, the outcome, the new owner had to honor the employment terms and conditions agreed upon by the former owner. Contractual obligations to employ. So, employment contracts and collective bargaining agreements, or the CBAs, impose obligations on employers to honor agreed upon terms and conditions of employment. So, I have here a case example, Philippine Carpet Manufacturing Corporation versus the NLRC. The company unilaterally terminated employees despite existing contracts. So the Supreme Court ruled that the company violated its contractual obligations. So the outcome, the company was ordered to reinstate the employees and comply with the terms of the contract. Merger and consolidation. Okay. Merger and consolidations involve the combination of two or more entities into one. The surviving entity assumes the rights and obligation of the merged entities, including labor obligation. So, I have here the case example, BPI Employees Union versus the Bank of the Philippine Islands, or the BPI. BPI merged with another bank, leading to concerns about the continuity of employment for the employees of the merged bank. So, the Supreme Court held that the surviving entity in a merger must respect existing employment contracts and CBAs. So, the outcome, BPI was required to honor the employment terms of the employees from the merged bank. Ailment or disease. So I have here a case. Example, Karandang versus the NLRC. Karandang, an employee, resigned due to a serious illness and provided a medical certificate from a government position. The employer refused to pay separation benefits. So, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Karandang, affirming that the employee was entitled to separation pay as mandated by the Labor Code. Outcome: the employer was ordered to provide the appropriate separation pay. Resignation of deceased employee. Okay, we have here the resignation process. First, medical certification. The employee must obtain a certification from a competent public health authority. So, example, a government physician stating that their illness is serious and that continued employment is detrimental to their health or the health of others. Okay, second is the notice of resignation. The employee should submit a formal resignation letter attaching the medical certification and providing notice as required by the company policy or the labor code, usually 30 days. Okay. Separation pay, the employer is obligated to provide separation pay as stipulated by law. Termination of employment, procedure to terminate employment. Concept: due process is essentially the observance of substantive process. So example of that is the causes and the grounds. And for procedural due process naman, we have here the steps or the procedure prior to the termination of employment or separation from employment. Okay, we have here the difference between the termination and the separation. So, termination of employment presupposes that the employee is at fault or was the cause for his/her being dismissed. That's why the grounds are called just causes, which includes serious misconduct, willful disobedience, gross and habitual neglect of duty, to name a few. On the other hand, separation from employment presupposes that the employee is not at fault for being separated from service, as the same result from a legitimate business reason or due to laws and regulations, which authorize the employer to letting go of the employee. That's why the grounds are called authorized causes, which include uh, redundancy, retrenchment, to name a few. Okay, substantive due process. It is essentially refers to the causes or the grounds. Okay, just causes. For termination, just causes include serious misconduct, willful disobedience, gross and habitual neglect of duty, fraud, loss of trust and confidence, commission of a crime, and analogous causes. For authorized causes, for separation, authorized causes include installation of labor-saving devices, redundancy, retrenchment, closing of a business, or disease. Okay, procedural due process. A procedural due process essentially refers to the steps or procedure. So, in just cause procedure, we have step 1, issuance of first written notice. Step 2, observance of ample opportunity to explain. Step 3, issuance of second written notice. For authorized causes procedure, we have also the step 1, issuance of 30-day advance notice to DOLE. Step 2, issuance of 30-day advance notice to employee. And step 3, payment of separation pay subject to an exemption. Okay, consequence for non-observance of due process.
Non-observance of due process may result in liabilities, including illegal dismissal. So, illegal dismissal may result in the employer being held liable for full back wages, reinstatement, moral damages, exemplary damages, monetary claims, and attorney fees. Okay, and that's it for my report. And I will give the floor to the next reporter. Thank you.